Welcome to The Eventful Entrepreneur with Krista Graham, where we embark on an exciting journey through the dynamic intersection of weddings and entrepreneurship. Join me, Krista Graham, your guide in the world of growing a successful wedding business. In each episode this season, we dive into one piece of your client journey from marketing to offboarding. Whether you're a seasoned wedding pro or just starting, this podcast is your go-to resource for navigating the intricacies of the wedding industry. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to actually have some time to record this episode. I apologize. I had to take a couple, 3 weeks off. Wedding season started and it just kind of smacked me in the face. I was not prepared for it. So, but that's, one of the major tenets of what I teach is knowing when to prioritize certain things in your business, knowing when your busy seasons are, and knowing that during those busy seasons, other things may have to take a back seat. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to get back to it. It doesn't mean that you've failed in that project. It just means you're prioritizing what needs done in the moment and everything else comes after. So today you are going to get 2 episodes. Next week, I'm hoping that you will also get 2 episodes, but I'm not promising anything. But we are making our way through the client experience this season. And we are currently talking about the proposal process and trying to get those leads from lead to client, okay? So getting those inquiries to sign on the dotted line, to pay you money, and to move into your process. So, today I want to talk about when you get objections, when a client tells you, they have further questions, they don't understand something, or they clearly just flat out object, or they're even sometimes can be argumentative with you. After your consultation, how do you address that and how do you move forward? It's so important that you treat this process as kind of a working relationship with the client. I like to use this process as an example of how you would work with the client after they do sign and pay you. It kind of just gives them a little look through the window at what your working relationship is going to look like moving forward. And if this process is frustrating for you, frustrating for them, then maybe you are not the right client business relationship. If there are red flags during this process, take note of that. And, it could be as extreme as you telling them, hey, I don't think this is going to work. But there are some objections that we can clearly respond to, answer their questions, clarify anything that's confusing, and move forward because, we don't want to lose revenue. We want to work with clients we want to work with. More importantly, we don't want to work with clients we don't want to work with, but we still want to get paid. So don't treat every single issue as a red flag and just write them off. There are ways to address it, move forward. You don't want to delay your project, especially if you're a planner. Some other vendors, you would sign with the client and then there might be months or even a year that you're not really working directly with them until closer to their wedding. But especially if you're a planner or somebody that is going to be working with the couple all the way through the process, you're going to want to get started sooner rather than later, especially if they don't have a venue booked because they don't have a date. Your dates are your inventory. I do not want a couple hanging on for months at a time without locking them in, getting their venue set, getting that date on the books. Then you know what other dates, what other inventory you have to sell. I also don't want your potential client to be frustrated during this process because you're going to start out on a bad foot with them and you don't want to do that. So, what are some of the reasons that clients or potential clients may raise objections or raise concerns about? They might not think they can afford you. If their budget, their total overall wedding budget, is so low that they can't possibly pay for your services, and this does happen, you have one of two options. Well, I guess you have three options. You can take them on as a client, and the process is going to be really frustrating for both of you, or all of you, because they're not going to have enough money left over to get the wedding that they want and for you to effectively do your job with vendors that you know are going to perform. That's the option I don't even really want on the table, okay? If somebody doesn't have a budget that accurately reflects hiring whatever your services are and whatever your prices are, you really have one of two options that I'm going to suggest. The first option is you let them go. You tell them, and this is straight out of Terica's mouth, if you've ever heard any trainings by Terica. I love how she says, it would be unethical for me to take you on as a client knowing that it would eat up so much of your budget. And maybe direct them to some DIY wedding planning resources, a workbook, a timeline, something that can help them move forward without you. The other option that I have actually done is to offer them, and this completely depends on your availability and your workload. Tell them their budget does not match any of your packages, but you would be happy to create a custom consultation only package for them where they can come to you with questions throughout the next 6 months or however long. And I generally charge $100 a month for this. It's usually an hour or less meeting once a month. I create the custom timeline for them. I tell them kind of the time frame they should be finding vendors doing different things. And I'll just share that whole thing with them in the beginning. And then I'll just try and keep them on track. I don't do any research for them. I don't do any venue or vendor outreach for them. I don't really consult on an as needed, anytime they want to talk to me basis. It is strictly during that 1 month, one time per month meeting. So that's an option if their budget is a concern. I don't want to give a lot of examples for each reason that they might raise objections because I don't want this podcast to be an hour long. But some other objections they might raise. It might be unclear what you offer. Especially, I find this as a planner. People often ask me, what exactly is it do you help us with? It might be unsure they might be unsure of your value proposition. What are you going to offer them that they perceive the value to be there for the money that they're being paid? You might have difficulty communicating their vision, and we will talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But they might be saying one thing, and you might be saying another thing, and you're just not matching up. They might not trust you. They might not believe that you have enough experience or expertise in your area. As simple as that. They might not trust you. Objections are often a sign that your clients are wanting a good outcome and they're just asking you how they can get there. So if they don't trust you, you provide them with testimonials, client reviews, the blog posts of previous weddings, bonus if they're a similar wedding to what they're looking for. Counsel them in that area that they feel like you're a little bit lacking. It's your job to help them along and empathize with them. You understand. They've never gone through this process before, right? Hopefully. And they hopefully will never again. never planned something as large as a wedding. And let's face it, in my opinion, and what I'm seeing in the trends, weddings are only going to get bigger. So, at least for now, weddings are getting bigger, wedding parties are getting bigger, guest lists are getting bigger. Um, they're probably never going to plan another event like this again. So you're there to guide them through that process. And that includes all the objections and answering all their questions. So, one way you can address objections is just simply be an active listener. It is really, truly important to understand their concerns before responding. So, if they give you an objection, paraphrase what they said to you. So, you can say, "What I'm hearing is your blah, 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 blah. Is that correct? Or can you elaborate on, XYZ? Can you tell me more about your concerns with this?" Listen to the words that they're saying. Look at the expression on their face, how they're holding their body. Do they seem nervous to bring this up? Are they just pompous and, boastful and arrogant or something? Like, you can tell a lot about a client and whether this is somebody you want to work with or not, just by listening to their answers for those open-ended questions that you ask. Also, again, I have to say, being empathetic and showing them that you understand that they're going to have questions and you understand that they have never done this before and it's your job to help them through it. Okay, so addressing some specific objections. I talked a little bit about addressing a budget objection already, offering a different package, highlighting the return on investment. Maybe, tell them if you have vendors that give you a discount because working with you makes their process so easy. You can adjust the payment plan. I have adjusted my payment plan this year, and not necessarily in response to a client objection, but it has made it easier on the clients looking back. I have gone from a 50-50 payment structure to a third, and a third. Now that spreads out my money over the same time frame, but I get one extra payment in the middle, or not an extra payment, but like I get money in the middle where I normally wouldn't have. So kind of seeing if you can, arrange a payment plan. I have done monthly payments for clients, and I tell them, as long as it's paid 30 days before the wedding, paid in full, then I am happy to break it up how they need me to. Scope of the project or wedding. You want to clearly define the deliverables in your contract. And then when you follow up with them, if they have questions on those, just note that for next time so you can clarify in your contract for future clients. You may need to use visuals like mood boards or blog posts or photo galleries, depending on what your exact industry business is. And then showcasing your portfolio, presenting client testimonials, emphasizing what is unique about your services, kind of helps to explain your value a little bit more. And all of these are things you can do in your consultation before you send the contract. But, sometimes clients still have questions after the fact. Communication is essential. You want to establish clear channels and set their expectations for working with you in this process in the beginning. I always tell clients, texting is fine. I don't mind it for quick answers. If it's something more thorough or something that I need to research or something like that, I'm going to ask that you put it in an email, because I am more likely to remember it, number one. Number two, it goes into my kind of workflow more seamlessly when things come through email. It may be different for you, but setting those expectations up front is important. On the trust factor, Again, I think empathizing with the client is most important here in the getting them to trust you area. Share an experience that you've had that, you were in a similar situation that they were. Let them know that you understand. You know where they're coming from. Again, you want to showcase like testimonials, stories from previous weddings that you've planned. Um, Offer a money back guarantee if that's something that you want to do, and it's applicable for you. Whatever you can do to get them to trust you, but still kind of cover your ass at the same time. Okay, so we can also reframe objections. We can also negotiate with clients. Just because I have a contract doesn't mean that's set in stone. Now, you may never have been told that in your life. Everybody else says your contract is your contract is your contract, never change it for anybody. I'm here to tell you, you can do whatever you want. It's your business. Of course, consult with your lawyer and see if you're still covered legally if you make changes. But if you have a client asking, for example, to take out your media policy, they don't want their face to be on your Instagram, that's fine with me. I will do that. I'm not going to lose, a multi-thousand-dollar client just because I can't use their photos on my Instagram. I have plenty of other photos. If you're a new planner or florist or whatever, if you're brand new, there's other ways to get content for your social media, for your blog, for your website. I would encourage you to agree with a client if they want you to take out their media clause. Now, there's other clauses where I say, no, I'm not comfortable changing or removing that. This clause protects me as a business owner, me as a service provider, and I am not comfortable doing that. And they're either going to be okay with it or they're not. And there's nothing you can do there. You may lose the client, but in my experience, they have all understood and they've all said, okay, I see it from your point of view now where I didn't before. Let's move forward. Speaking of lawyers, I want to plug the Contract Club really quickly. Most contract template shops are going to cost you around $1,000 to get your contract parts and pieces that you need into one document. And you'd probably pay 3 times that to work one-on-one with a lawyer who would create a contract for you. But my friend Braden Drake created the Contract Club. He is an attorney, and he has you covered for just $30. Now, I believe this price is going up in June. So until the end of May, today is May 22nd, 2024, this podcast will be up around middle of the day. So you have, another week and a half to get into the Contract Club. It's a $30 cover, covers you for life. This is not a monthly payment. It is a one and done fee. This Contract Club includes all of the clauses that you would need as a creative business. He works a lot with wedding industry professionals. Even if it doesn't have exactly what you need, you know that you'll have more than get your money's worth. Even if you get just one document or one contract clause is useful. $30 until the end of May. He even has a new feature called the Contract Bot. I believe this is an additional cost, but it will ask you 10 questions and then it will build your contract for you. So I will put the link in the show notes. I do get an affiliate payment if you purchase through this, so I just want to put that asterisk on it, but that is how I built my contract. It is the resource that I always share with people, especially if you're new and need to build a contract. Okay, turning objections into a win. This is the major goal with objections. You want to win them over with your brilliance in addressing their objection. You want to strengthen that relationship. Get them to trust you more with your answer. Provide them some comfort in knowing that you know your shit, right? If they ask you a question and you don't know the answer to it, you're going to own up to the fact that you don't know that answer, but you will get back to them. But when you have an objection, concern, whatever you want to call it, and you have an answer for that and it makes sense to them and it makes them feel better, that is only going to strengthen your relationship with them and make your working relationship improve going forward. You want to clearly communicate throughout the project and minimize any future objections. Like I said, for the example of texting, share that with them in the beginning. Keep saying it in meetings. If the texting gets out of hand, you want to redirect them back to email. Just be very clear in your communication about things moving forward through the whole time you're working with them. Also, share success stories of how dealing with these objections led to positive outcomes with previous couples. I talk about previous weddings, previous couples all the time, and where it's relevant. And hearing that other people had the same concerns, and then maybe sharing that testimonial, showing them the pictures of the wedding at the end, kind of shows them that they can get over their objection and have a wonderful wedding as well. A couple bonus tips for you. You might want to think about some common objections beforehand and think about responses to them. What exactly would you be willing to do if somebody doesn't think they can afford your services? Would you be willing to create a custom package for them at a lower cost? Would you be willing to change your payment plan for them? Think through what you are willing to offer. That way you're not kind of deer in headlights in the moment when they're asking. Second bonus tip, use a CRM, something like Honeybook or Dubsado. I use Honeybook. I'll put that link in the show notes as well, to track client communication and the objections that they're raising. You could even go a step further and create a Google Sheet or a Google Doc that has any client objections and how you addressed it. So if you go 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, maybe in a year, and you have hired staff to do your sales, or you've hired another planner on your team, they have a database of how to address objections, and they know exactly how you have done it in the past, so they can be comfortable and confident that they're addressing it how you would. And hopefully you all can move forward and sign that client and get to working with them. Our next episode, which should be live already, you can download it now and listen, is going to be about evaluating your consultation and follow-up process. So we have one more episode on following up and kind of securing the bag with your client. It's just kind of evaluating that process. And then in June, we will move on to onboarding and, how to get your clients prepared for success and prepared to work with you. So thanks for listening. Go listen to the next episode that's available right now, and I will talk to you soon.